Yeah! Something going on! Yeah! Yeah! Something going on in the neighborhood. Why do we see much further than we should? You're sick of the lies, sick of the lies. Who you gonna call when you get on the line? Who you gonna call? Who you gonna call? Who you gonna call? Yeah! GLOBEBUSTERS! 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 If there ain't no curve, there ain't no ball. The globe religion about to fall. We're gonna open your eyes so you can see who you gonna call if you wanna be free. GLOBEBUSTERS! 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 Who you gonna call? Who you gonna call? Who you gonna call? Yeah! GLOBEBUSTERS! GLOBEBUSTERS! GLOBEBUSTERs!
And welcome everybody to GLOBEBUSTERS. We accept the reality of the world with which we're presented. It's as simple as that.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of GLOBEBUSTERS Tech. I am your host, Zach Goodtimes for All, and today we're going to be talking about the properties of the moon. The moon is one of those really mysterious things pretty much throughout history. It's been, when you really start studying the moon, it doesn't make sense really in any model almost. It's one of those things that made me stop focusing on the sky so much and start focusing on the ground beneath my feet to try to prove things to people, because really in either model it's really hard, because I think there's pieces out there that we just don't quite have yet. I know there's people with their working models that they have and ideas and how it works, but yeah, I still haven't seen that perfect thing that ties it all together. I know it's right there. I know Cami has a lot of ideas, and Karen as well. Kyle, I'm not sure how much you've looked into the moon, but we'll hear about that as well. But yeah, it's always been a great mystery throughout time, what the moon is and how it affects us. And yeah, today we're going to be talking about that. But before we do, we're going to say hello to everybody on the panel. And we're going to start off with Mrs. Karen B. Karen, how are you doing today, ma'am? Oh, you're muted.
Rookie mistake. I'm doing great. Good to be here.
Awesome. How is Flattoberfest coming along? I know we are less than, what is it, like 6 weeks? Something like that now?
Yeah.
Yeah, Cami and I were talking about
7
yesterday.
weeks probably. Yeah.
Like, oh my God, it's right
Yeah,
around the
6 weeks.
corner. I'm getting excited. This is like better than This is my Christmas and my New Year's, and like every holiday all wrapped into one, Flattoberfest.
Yeah. It's a little nerve-wracking.
Oh, I bet. I bet. I always love seeing you when it's over. You look exhausted, but you look so happy, and you're just like,
Right.
like one
Yeah.
of those got to be let out. So
Like, oh, I made it.
yeah. But yeah, we'll be showing a promo for that later on near the end of the show, and just letting everybody know how to get your tickets and maybe a promo code. I know there's a new one out there. Thanks, Bob. We'll get you 10% off your ticket.
Mm-hmm.
that was just put in, I think, last week, something like that.
Yeah, the beginning of the month.
Beginning of the month, yeah. So yeah, get your tickets, folks. I know they're going. So if you're hoping to get one at the door, I'm not going to say that you won't be able to, but I don't know. You it's they're selling like they've never sold before. We'll just say it like that. All right. And next up we have Mr. Kyle Adams. Kyle, how was your week, sir?
It was really good. I went and did a big parade and walked the entire parade 3 times carrying my Abolish NASA sign and had a really good turnout for that. Like definitely a lot more thumbs up than I ever got thumbs down. And the best like highlight out of all of it was when the parade float with the entire football team came by and they saw me with my sign and they started cheering. Yeah. It was awesome.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
I just wish I got that on video because it's just too good to be true. So.
Yeah, it seems like some of the best moments like that, you're just not ready to catch it on video.
Yeah.
I've got one of those. I'll share it with you real quick. This was early on. Didn't even have my camera yet. This was 2015. And I went out to Lake Michigan to the beach, right? And I had a telescope, it was a 50 by telescope. Not little, it was, about yay long or whatnot. And I'm out there with a tripod and I'm looking, and my buddy was with me and he just thought I was nuts. This was early on. And this guy comes walking up. He's like, "What are you guys doing?" And my buddy's like, "This idiot thinks the earth is flat. He's looking to see the buildings of Chicago. He thinks he can see them from here." He's like, "Oh yeah, you can. Just about every night. Today it's kind of a foggy day, but yeah, most days you see him all the time." He's like, "Yeah, but he thinks the earth is flat." And the guy goes, "Oh yeah, it is." And just walked away. And this was like early 2015, like probably the early summer. And my buddy's jaw just dropped and hit the sand. And yeah, I'll never forget that one. That's one of those I wish I had.
Yeah. People would see my Abolish NASA sign. It's like, Earth is flat. Yeah. And so, yeah, it was awesome to just see exactly how many supporters there are. And most of those people are people I never see at the meetups that I do out in St. George all the time. And I don't really see them on the clock app. But so it's really kind of significant when all of a sudden I didn't know that these flat earthers were in my area, but yeah, they're making their presence known even though they don't have the clock app. So it's
yeah,
cool.
They're everywhere.
Yeah.
There's so many flat earthers that haven't heard of, that don't watch YouTube, that, or any really social media platforms probably. They're still out there. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They're everywhere. We're everywhere now. So last but not least, Mrs. Cammie Nodell. Cammie, how are you doing today, ma'am?
Oh, I'm doing good. Time is strange right now. It goes ebbs and flows. A little bit crazy, but I'm really, really glad to be here tonight. The moon is something that's always been a fabulous mystery, something that's intrigued me my entire life. And with flat Earth, I don't know, Zach. To me, there's a lot of mysteries, but there's so many potentials and ways that it can make sense and work with it. Well, we may never know in this lifetime, but on the other hand, I don't know the possibilities looking at it. And again, just the thrill of being able to stop and look at it. Every day I know that I hear videos, and I heard another video today that somebody was surprised and just shocked that they saw a moon out at 2:30 in the afternoon. And how could that be?
That still baffles me but that just goes to show you how the education system has failed everybody.
Exactly. It goes to show you how completely disconnected we are with the sky, how it works, how it's always worked. And they have something that we've done our entire lifetime looking up at the skies. They have us looking into screens instead of up in the skies. And I think there's a whole lot of clues up there. If you just put your eyes out. What did you think, Kyle, off topic a little bit? Oh, also, I did want to welcome everybody here to GLOBEBUSTERS Tech. This is the tech show. It's an advanced tech show, and we're going to drill down on advanced ideas. So thank you for coming. This is not the primetime show that is on Sunday, and definitely come and join us on Sunday. This is not your thing. We won't take any offense, but we will get really down and nerdy here. We like doing it. So thank you you guys that like it for joining us. Kyle, I sent you something in education because we're talking about education. Karen, did you get a chance to watch that video or no? The one I sent on Hasidic, what Hasidics teach their kids. There was some interesting
Oh,
topics in
no,
that.
I didn't. I didn't.
No, that's
Well,
okay.
Would you like me to pull that up real quick?
Sure, we could
Or we could
do.
just explain it, because I don't know who that was from. Do you know?
I don't think she would she's got a channel. I don't think she would copyright strike us for small tidbits of it talking and discussing if we pause in a little bit, because I think this was interesting. I think we might have a whole group of other flat earthers.
Yeah, this really, I didn't know this. This kind of blew my mind. Where was it at, Cami? 40
Go
minutes?
ahead and do the 57 minutes where I had it
57.
first,
they're
because
talking
I
about
think
like
this
a
is very
Jewish
interesting.
homeschool thing, right?
Okay, no, what they are talking about is when you have the religious Jews, the religious Jewish community does not send their children to public schools ever. They send their boys to yeshiva, Beishakov, for the girls' school, and then they have again the day schools that they send their kids to, and they're religious based, and it's again part of the community, and their children are not sent to public schools. So right now, what is coming out in videos and in YouTube is some things back and forth that some of the Hasidic kids and the Jewish kids that are leaving the community have said that they do not have enough of an education to like jump into college or pass the SATs or do things. You've got some things going back and forth. So these are people talking about the community, and these are like in New York, the Satmar community, in any of the Orthodox communities in all of the cities throughout. And I don't think that we're really aware of it, but they do not. Most of their studies, especially in the boys' schools, are religious, and they sprinkle in a little bit of secular studies. But if we do this at 57 minutes, he's going to explain why they don't focus on a lot of secular studies. And how he's going to put it is like when they do, they're not teaching the kids all of these memorization facts to do. They said that when we test the adult population, and that's what he's going to do for the first 3 minutes, we might even want to skip ahead. They're going to say that the adult population tests at about a 6th grade level. That after that 6th grade level, when they're adults, like all of these little facts back and forth, they're not used, and it's not other than if they go into a very specific area and you have specific training on it. And so they're not preparing.
Well, yeah, they pretty much say they're not going to, they don't teach parts of physics, he says. And he's talking about the parts of physics that go against the Bible, the Torah.
No, they're talking even on the secular. They throw in the English. They don't take, they take it up to like a 5th grade or a 6th grade level. They take the different levels, and yet what they do focus on these kids is they focus on how to think, and kids can jump in and think and do well in different schools. By the way.
Oh yeah, but he even states that they don't teach it because it goes against what the Torah says.
They will not teach a lot of the things because it goes against it, and they don't really want to prep their kids for college because that's the last thing they want is to have.
Okay, here, let me play
that community. But let's play this a little bit.
Thinking about what the occupations are is because you can't understand the education that's happening in the school in 3rd grade without understanding where this community sees the role of secular education, because fundamentally secular culture and secular knowledge are treif, are things that are religiously problematic. They very, very carefully monitor what it is that we're going to teach for the specific goal of being able to function in the world. Also, not just in jobs, but in being politically aware, for example, knowing how to access the institutions, the banks, the government offices, any of the other things in society. To be able to function as a member of American society, you need a certain baseline. That baseline is not very high. I mean, people who do education research know this, but every year or every few years, there's a national assessment that gets sent out to grown-ups, giving them an assessment on what they retained from their elementary and high school education. And most people who are grown-ups score at a 6th grade level, meaning history knowledge, science knowledge, math, reading and writing. Most people are at a 6th grade level. And the reason is because that's the baseline that you pretty much need to function. And after that, like, you won't hear me saying that knowledge is not valuable, because it is. It's absolutely valuable, but it's not necessarily pragmatically valuable, meaning it's not necessarily needed depending on what you choose to do. And you can use that knowledge to go further. So you heard me talking about math and English. Some schools have a robust social studies curriculum, really covering everything that you would do in a public school. Go through the explorers in 5th grade, and just the same as everybody else would do, but from kosher textbooks. Nowadays, the difference between many years ago is that many years ago they would take old public school textbooks and censor them, and now you
Like
have
you're doing, Karen.
a whole bunch of kosher publishers who adapt public school textbooks for the sensibilities of a Hasidic community. And so you can use a textbook that has stories and has history and has all of the different things, but without any material that might be considered problematic. And the last is science. Some schools have a certain
Now
amount
pay
of
attention to
science.
this part.
Pay attention, yeah.
Even in the schools that are strongest in secular education, science is very limited to particular topics. And I'll take a step back and I'll say, from my from a professor standpoint, from an academic standpoint, why? And that's because science really is the competing epistemological framework for society. You have a religious epistemology and you have science. And but what I mean by that is it's a framework. It's not just a content area. It's a framework for processing and understanding the world. It's a way of making sense of the world that is in competition with the religious way of making sense of the world. And so it's particularly dangerous, and it's particularly fraught. And so
what
Science
bothers me
is
about
dangerous.
what bothers me about the way it's taught is they have you write the loaded questions, and they expect you to say things that you don't believe in necessarily. Does that make sense? And so it just kind of, I did a video a while back about the Jehovah's Witnesses and about what it's like to read their manual, and how they ask you questions and expect you to give their answer all the time. And that's kind of what we see in the public school system is just asking different questions about evolution without really establishing that basis of that you do believe in evolution. You know what I mean? And it's hard to
In their way of teaching, they drilled down, Kyle. You're right. They drilled down, like what you're saying. They drilled down further and further. And science is not based on that. Science is based on memorizing the facts that they want you to accept. By the way, today it was declared that 98.6 is no longer the normal temperature, because that number, that 37 degrees Celsius and the temperature being normal, off topic here, but I even have a tab on it. That was taken from scientists over 150 years ago using 1.5 foot long thermometers that you had to leave in the patients for over 20 minutes. And so our normal, what we consider our normal 37 degrees or that, was just declared by a scientist this many years ago. And now they did statistics and numbers and everything and found out, oh, sorry, that normal we're using, maybe it was the normal then, but it's not the normal now.
So what would the medium or median be now?
Well, you know what? I have the video up and I got so caught up in their gobbledygook that I had to stop it, because that's what I was looking for, was the answer. But they were explaining in their brilliant science on the tab, they were explaining on how they got the results and how they got rid of mistakes in the results. That they sampled all of these people's medical charts, and then they took the norms, the high and the lows of the norms, and then looked for diseases or conditions with those people, and then throughout everything else with those conditions, and that way their value was complete, because they were talking, the whole thing was statistically about all the different ways to get to the number and what exactly is normal and the whole bit. So I got so caught up in their convoluted method and how that guarantees that they're going to have the correct result now because they picked the right variables. It couldn't be something unheard of that, but I think it's funny, again, with the norms, and they started they're announced with some things, the speed of light, this and that, but in medical, it's no different in the other sciences. Somebody put down 150 years ago or how many years ago, and again, if it's building on the whole thing about science is getting facts to fit in with the Helio model and match, finding again things that match up with the model. Now, what was interesting about that video with the Jewish teaching is this group of people, and it's the boys in particular, but I mean, there's a huge Orthodox Jewish communities, not huge, but sizable ones in most cities. And New York has got, quite the sizable group of a religious community. These are all flat earthers, by the way, people. They don't know that we probably exist out here because they stay away from technology. But I think it's fascinating to think that we have a whole group of people, hundreds of thousands of flat earthers that we're not even considering, just as a weird jumping off point. I bet you didn't think of it
they're
that way.
taught pretty much that the earth is flat, just like the Bible
The
says.
Bible,
They're not taught certain parts
they're
of
not
science.
they're not taught the competing
Science. Yeah. He even said it. Science is dangerous,
is dangerous
especially
and
when it comes
evil.
to your worldview. That's what got me. That's how they got me. It was the whole evolution, and I started learning about the solar system in high school a lot more and things like that. And then I started looking back at the Bible, and it's like, this is like the exact opposite of what this says. So what do I believe? And yeah, I became an atheist. I did.
When it comes to the public school system, though, what I was telling one person just recently was it's important that we understand their model enough that we're able to take it in, chew it up, and spit it back out and say, I don't agree with that because of this, this, and this. And that's really important. We need to show that we disagree with the globe model, not because of a lack of education, but because of our education.
Yes. Well said.
That is well said.
All right. Well, this first video, this is one that Karen B did a while ago. This was Karen. I know this says 1 month ago, but the original video, 2016 maybe?
Oh, no, it wasn't that early.
2017?
Probably 2018.
2018? Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember it was a while ago. This one was great. And this is one of those that David uses on a lot of his interviews
Mm-hmm.
to get people like, hey, tell me what this is. Yeah, so we're going to run through this one real quick. It's just 2 minute 15 seconds. Hopefully Karen won't strike us. Here we go.
Do we know that the moon is a sphere? Have we ever seen the other side of it? No. I will let my friend Karen B show you a little demonstration.
When something is round and too far away from you, you cannot say what shape it is. It can be a flat plate, it can be oblate, it can be concave, it can be a sphere. You just can't tell. Here are 4 objects. They all look round, right? But are they all spheres? How would we know? What if I told you that there is only one object that is not spherical? Can you tell what it is? Can you tell me how you knew it? How would we even know the distance? I can tell you that they are 100 feet away and you will believe it, but they can only be a few inches away.
And I can tell you that they are 10 meters in diameter, but they could only be 5 centimeters in diameter. You can never know using your camera.
Please look at them carefully. Here is the only object that is not spherical here. Here it is. I bet you thought it would be another one. But it will blow your mind if I tell you that this second object is also not spherical, and it's flat. And it will blow your mind even more if I tell you that this third object is concave. But how about this one? This is the only spherical object. We could have an oblate object and you would think it's spherical as well. So looking at something round does not mean it's a sphere. Have you ever seen the moon rotating in the sky? You have always seen one side of it, which makes it impossible for anyone to say the moon is spherical. However, using the word round is correct. A plate is also round. Look at this moon right here. Does it look round? Yes. Does it look like a sphere? Yes. Is it really a sphere? Let's find out. Well, it's not. It's flat. You got tricked again.
You got tricked again.
You got tricked again, baby.
I love that one.
Thought it would be another one. Thought it would be another
But
one.
yeah, it's a great demonstration of just because something looks like a sphere doesn't mean it is.
That's right.
And even the lines on the moon make it look like a sphere. You know, when you look at it, you see the one crater down there and you have all those lines coming out of it. It looks like a sphere to me. It really, really does.
It looks
And
like
that's
one to
why,
me too.
yeah. And that's why I think a lot of the stuff Cammie talks about does hold weight. Maybe the moon that we're seeing isn't the actual moon, but the actual moon itself, I think, is physical. I don't know what it is inside me, but when I hear Cammie talk about it, it just makes sense.
It does makes sense to me just because of the way it appears, the way it works visually in the sky. Yeah, I agree.
All right, with this next, oh, go ahead, Cameron Joe.
Oh, I don't know. Go ahead and show the next one, and then I was going to come back because a lot of the people don't know what you're talking about, or don't know when you say what Cammie thinks about it. A lot of the people
Well, yeah,
in the
I know.
audience.
We're gonna
But
go into that.
we're going to go into that in just a minute.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sorry, everybody. Yeah, but yeah, we'll definitely get into that. But yeah, when she talks about some of these properties she's gonna cover tonight, it makes sense. So it makes me wonder, you know, is it actually a physical object up there somewhere? And it's, yeah, she'll show a
Hello,
lot of
everybody out there on YouTube.
reasons why it might be.
In this video, we'll be taking a look at the wagon wheel moon explained in Stellarium.
Okay, so pretty much this video is just going to show you that even in Stellarium, they show the moon appears to be a flat disk above our head almost. You know, we only see 50% of it, just moving around like it's connected to an arm on a like a ceiling fan almost. It just moves around in this perfect circle, and from different points on Earth, like right here,
90 degrees north.
we're going to go to 90 degrees north. And this
We
is
will lock onto the
Stellarium.
moon. We're going to set our date to 2/5/22. This will be the day Elsie King and I will be taking our measurements, as that will be the day the moon is passing over the equator.
Okay.
We will lock onto the moon position. So we get it kind of close, move that atmosphere.
Okay, here we go. And you see, as I'm moving through the hours, the moon really isn't
We're
moving
gonna
that
get
much
it
as far as a
to
wagon
line
wheel.
up so we're looking one.
Yeah, where it's 180 degrees. I'm trying to get it, and then I just jump ahead by hour, and you can see that it really isn't doing much. You can see the stars going behind it, but supposedly from like the North Pole, you would not see the moon wagon wheel through the sky like we see it do. And I know there's some people that say, oh, well, the moon doesn't wagon wheel in the sky. Go out there, take a picture of it. If you have your camera level with the ground and you're not rotating it with the moon, then it appears to wagon wheel. In this video, I kind of show how that happens. Nick Phuket Word did a great video on this years ago, and I had done it. And this just is kind of showing why you would see the moon if you were from the North Pole. The little green dots here at the North Pole. And as the moon's going around, it's staying on that line right there. Like the red dot stays there, the blue dot stays there. So you see it from the same perspective the whole time. I'll jump forward a little bit. Okay, and then the next one, we're going to go from Spartanburg. And we'll show you how the moon looks according to Stellarium from here. I already saw it rotate a little bit. Okay. There's your moon. Come on. Trying to get it lined up just right, 180 degrees. Yada, yada. Okay, come on. Yeah, this is my indicator right here. When it's 180 degrees south, looking at the moon from the north, this dot is usually right here. Sometimes it's a little bit down here. I think it's September. There's a few months where the moon kind of, as it's rotating, it starts off in a different spot almost for a few months, but then it goes back to normal. That little, I call it the soccer ball, this thing right here, that usually starts right about 50, 55 degrees, something like that, right about there from the northern hemisphere. When you see the moon for the first time, that dot is usually up here. Southern hemisphere, that dot will be down here. And as you go throughout the night, this dot is going to slowly move here when it's about south 100 degrees or 180 degrees south of you. See, there's the line, 180 degree line that is there. And as you keep on going, it's going to come down a little bit more, and then it will be out of your view. And this is exactly how it works on a flat, like pizza plate, you know, a circular pizza plate just going around over your head on a ceiling fan. You would get the same exact view that it appears to be rotating. And this is what got me thinking that we're not seeing the actual moon. This is why I lean that way, that it's not the actual moon we're seeing, because if you would think if it was somebody over, you know, to the east, real far to the east, and somebody real far to the west, and the moon's right in between them, they would like almost see different features of the moon a little bit. They wouldn't be seeing the exact same 50% of the moon, no matter where you are. That's the one thing that gets me, that just doesn't make sense in my head. But that's pretty much all I wanted to show. And then they say from like the south, 90 degrees south, it would be just the opposite direction, and it wouldn't rotate at all, just like in the north. No, this isn't all the way south. This must be 37 degrees south. So yeah, there it is. That's about where you'll see it, opposite of up here. And as you're going through the night, when the moon's south of you, the soccer ball, I call it, will be right there at the 270 mark. But yeah, it's even in Stellarium, they have it this way. Is one of the main reasons I wanted to show it to you, is this. It doesn't matter where you are, and when you're looking at the moon, the disk, when it's full, doesn't matter where you are, you're only going to see the same 50% of the moon as everybody else. And that just,
Well, and
it's
can I
hard for
just
me.
say too,
Yeah.
whenever you're looking at a sphere, you're never gonna see, you don't actually ever see 50% of it,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is weird because to think about, because you think if you look at, you know, half of a ball or a side of a ball, you're gonna see exactly half of it, but you don't. You see less than half of it actually, because it's curving around the sides, and all those parts of it that are actually, you know, perpendicular to your eyesight, you don't actually see those. So it's like 49 or 48% that you actually can only ever see at one time.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great point. And yeah, nobody sees any more than that. The only time we ever see the backside of the moon is what, the Asia or Chinese lunar lander stuff they're doing.
Right.
And that's about it. Yeah. Oh my goodness. But yeah, so that's one of the reasons why the moon has always really irked me, kind of. It's like, what are you? You know, it started driving me mad. I was like, all right, I'm done. I'm done with this guy. I'm just done.
It is kind of cool though. And then of course, if you add in libration of the moon, then over time you can probably see 50% of it when you talk about it doing this type of deal.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If you watch the animations, it's wobbly, kind of like it's
Just a little too. It's
Just a very little tiny
I
bit.
think that's when that soccer ball, the little soccer ball right here, starts in a little different spot. That nuation does that, I think. It'll start where you see the moon, what it looks like, where the features are, will be a
Mhm.
little bit different while that whole nuation thing's going on. And I think it only lasts for like 3 months or so. And then it kind of sets back into normal. And then about 6 months later, it does it again. So I'd have to go back into it. But yeah, it's weird. It doesn't make sense in the heliocentric model at all. You want to talk about making assumptions?
Yeah.
I mean, the moon is rotating, right? But it just rotates perfect enough to
Just
where that
enough to keep its
same is
face towards
always
us.
facing us. Yeah.
Yeah,
A
right.
lot of people thought it was tidally locked to where, it goes around, but it never rotates.
No.
No, people.
And it's going around like the opposite direction.
Yes, the moon's going west to east.
Yeah.
It's just doing it slower than we're rotating in the opposite direction. So it looks like it's going east to west.
Yeah.
And Rob Skiba pointed out repeatedly that the lit part of the moon doesn't always point directly at the sun. At least on the globe model, it doesn't point that way.
Well, it seems that way, but actually it does. Cammy, you're muted if you're trying to talk. And I know you are because when I say this, she's like, no, yes, it does.
No, yes, it does. On the globe model, it does not work. But on the flat Earth model, it really does when you line it up. If you actually go and do it physically and look at it day in and day out and day in and day out, it does. But you're right. On the globe model, it doesn't. It has to. You're right. It's spinning the wrong direction. So we're seeing it spin the wrong direction because of we're spinning. It's doing this. It has to then, why it's spinning the wrong direction this way, be rotating just enough so it's always keeping a perfect space while we're tilted, while we're doing it. It gets absurd. They throw in so many different things on the moon that with the globe for it to work. So you're right on the science of it. It boggles the mind. Again, thinking in your life, why can you only see one side? Because why it's spinning this fast and that it's also making a rotating this why doing it.
It is interesting though, Kyle, like that you bring that up because that's a thing, right? Like you see the moon and sometimes it looks right, but sometimes you'll see the moon in the sky and the lit part is like up here, and if you draw a line from center, like the light should be coming straight towards it, right? If you follow the line of sight and it's going off this way, yet the sun's way over supposed to be down here. So, and that doesn't make sense if in the flat earth, but it does, or well, it does make sense in flat earth, but it doesn't make, like it doesn't match in the globe model, right? Because if the sun is if the earth is going and the sun really is down here because it's physically, changing orientation and all that stuff around a ball, then it should match, right? But it doesn't. It's not looking at the sun. Like if you believe the sun is actually going away like that, but the reality, I don't know if I'm making sense, if I'm explaining this the way it makes sense, but when you look at it from a flat earth perspective and the light and you point it and it should go straight across, right? Well, the sun is appearing to be below the horizon, but we all know that's just perspective, right? That's just the way our eyes work. The sun's not really below the horizon. It's just way over there. So if you think about the moon and the sun both being up on higher planes and like up and far away, then the sun is just opposite in the sky of the moon. So the moon's light pointing straight across like that, when you see the reflection like pointing that direction just off, it actually is correct.
Yeah, we would think that it should be going east, because the sun is to the east, but it's not really. The sun is more towards the north as it's going around and curling around. Yeah.
Because they're both high up in the sky, right? But the appearance makes it seem low because it's just the perspective. But we know in reality, both of them are on a much higher plane than the one that we are standing on.
Yeah, perspective is one of those hard things to grasp. It really is. I had to do a lot of modeling, like with ceiling fans in my room, and cardboard pizza trays and just coloring them different colors and watching the colors rotate and taking pictures and moving myself, you know. I even had to extend it out. I took an arrow and extended it out further so I could have like different lines of latitude that I was taking that would be more drastic, so I could see the shift happen. Yeah, it's hard to grasp the concept. I Even when Nick showed it to me, I still had to go try it myself because it was just like that still doesn't make sense. But once you actually see it and do it yourself, it's like, oh, okay, I get it now. Yeah, the perspective is one of those hard things for sure.
Especially when you're talking though about like things on different planes, if that
Exactly,
makes
Karen.
sense.
It
Because
does, because it makes a huge difference.
yeah, because we're on the ground, right? The earth plane, and then there's like another plane like way higher, right? So everything's operating on a level plane but above us. So then it becomes like multiple point perspective for us, right? Like it's wherever.
And that's
It's
so
just
weird
weird.
when you see two balls on the ground when you're on that same plane. You know, the one closer to you looks so much bigger than the one further away. And then you can just race straight up and not even get closer to the further ball. And eventually you get to a point to where the both balls look to be about the same. So that's one of those things with, yeah, when you're looking at things on such a high plane that is away from us, telling their sizes and things like that, it's so hard to do. It really is.
So here's a question I've got going on in my mind right now: is does the moon follow the same lines of the tropics as the sun does? Does it go further north than the Tropic of
It goes
Cancer?
further. It goes
Further.
It goes
further
further
outside,
north.
Further north and further
further
south.
south.
I
It goes
tried looking
outside
that
in the
up.
circle.
I tried looking that up, but I can't see any diagrams or maps or anything like that of the lunar tropics and exactly where they land. And so that's uncharted territory right there.
Yeah, I
Or
know
even
the
just watching
moon.
like looking at a map of like the path of the moon as it crosses the earth. That's another thing I'd like to see.
When I was watching the moon, it was sometime over the summer. You know, the moon's always furthest south when it's directly south of you. It looks like it's the furthest south. Kind of like the sun. When in our summer, the sun looks like it rises to the north of us, right? When you're looking and you have your east and your west side to side. Oh, so you have your east and your west. One's, you know, this way, the other's the opposite way, and you see the moon coming up or the sun coming up. Oh, I lost where I was going now. I was trying to look at my camera and I totally lost what I was talking about. Brain fart. It
Wow. Okay.
In
happens.
your moment so early in life.
I'm just thinking about the lunar eclipse paths and about how they often go like diagonally and stuff across like the United States or something like that. And so it tells me that the moon doesn't necessarily always travel in a perfect circle around the flat Earth.
Well, I know
No.
Adam Carter, AJC 1844 has a great video on that, and it shows it doing more of a egg
An
shape.
ellipse.
Yeah, kind of
Well,
like
It
an
makes like a
egg.
petal
Where,
shape.
we
yeah,
think that the sun does that too.
yep.
That's something we've talked about too with the magnetic equator and all
Yeah.
that stuff.
That'd be
Right,
a
we
It's
see
cool
them pulling,
animation
but we
right
still
there.
see, in other words, it takes the sun 1 year's time to make it, or basically between the tropics to go and come back. It takes it a year to complete the cycle. The moon does that complete cycle in 1 month.
mm-hmm.
So why it takes the Earth doing it. So again, you have a dynamic, two different patterns that you would overlay over each other, and it's where they touch, that we find the eclipses. I do find it interesting. We were talking about how we see one side of the moon, which again, in a globe Earth model, it has to perform all kinds of gyrations and spinnings and doing it. But in a flat Earth model, if you think about it, and think about quantum locking and going down, there would be no reason for us to think that it should be, nor is this like a perfect sphere. We see one part of it. I would have reasons to believe, and we can get into with the phases, that it would not be flat and that it would have probably convex, but even possibly concave to get the phases. I've got to work a little bit with concave too, Karen, but not as well as having, like creating them in phases naturally the way I've done.
Hmm.
But again, open to it. Again, we don't see the top part. We don't know what the top part looks like. So on this one, I'm showing you a sphere, and I don't know if you see it, but it's got a flat top on it. It's
The
not a sphere. You
moon,
would,
the moon could be egg shaped, and we could just be seeing the bottom
again,
of it.
Mm-hmm.
and again, if you think about quantum locking and going around, I'm looking here like wild on the camera thing, trying to get it lined up. But again, if it's going around and doing it, there would be no reason. Other things we see about the moon that are mysterious. People think that sometimes they see stars through it, and they've tracked stars or wandering stars through it, supposedly. I don't rule it in or out. I also know that, again, things that people in the community that have ruled out almost immediately, and something I'm gonna start sharing screen a little bit and talk some, if that
Okay.
works. Present. Share screen.
I hope you all are enjoying the show. Here we are going to get into a little bit more nerdy stuff, I'm sure. I just wanted to get that first video, or the second video, or first and second video, to kind of show that how optics, well, in Karen's video, how optics can fool you, and you don't really know what something is until you actually get up there and touch it. And another one is about how perspective and optics together, especially with moving objects, and how from different parts of the ground, those moving objects appear different. I think we can map out the Earth by, well, maybe by, if we can go real far south in Australia and see just how much it rotates, or even further south, and see if it does what it's supposed to do on the globe model, because it's supposed to get up to the equator and then start getting less and less and less of a rotation, just like the North. And if it doesn't, I think that would be another nail in. I mean, we're looking for new spots to put nails in the coffin lid now. It's just a coffin lid full of nails, but one more ain't gonna hurt. But yeah, I think the sun and moon, there's so much to it that I'm sure there's things that we haven't even thought of yet that prove that we're not on a sphere with these things moving around us.
Hmm.
Okay, are you ready, Cammie?
Almost.
Okay, you just
Okay,
let me
go
know.
ahead. Okay, I'm here. And can you put me on camera too, or can you put us up along the side here? So if I move my hand and do things, yeah. Okay, so the moon, we have it up here. It's oh. Sorry, one thing I have like crisp notice right over the top of it, and it won't clear.
What's
One
going
second.
on?
I got
Okay.
it. Do you remember the crisp audio? I had a warning over the top, and it just wouldn't clear on the top over there.
Okay.
So this was interesting. This is from a GLOBEBUSTERS show called I Want to Rock, Electricity in the Flat Earth, and this aired September 3rd, 2017. 2015, 2014 into 2015, I was like big onto the moon, looking at it on different ways. We triangulated it. We did different things, and we found out a lot of these things don't work on the triangulation. Things came into the picture, and the questions started getting answered. Like over time, for instance, like you said, with just the way that we learn perspective. So when we look at the moon and we understand that they're like dancing somewhat in the same plane, but if you understand how perspective is, what they were trying to say is whatever is closest to your apex remains at the higher level. What you want to do when looking at the moon and when lining things up is draw a line up over your head to the sky, and then make a tent around you going down to your horizon. And depending on where the moon falls on your tent, I don't know if you can see my arms, but depending on where the moon falls on the tent, again, that's where you're going to see it in the sky. It's not going to be at a same level. It's not going to look at the same height. And I've noticed that with it tinting down, you're right, Zach, it shows that it wheels down with it as your perspective point going down on it. We also learned, like, from P-Brain and different people, that if you put the object up over your head, like you're talking about, Karen, and you move things, the perspective of it getting larger and smaller that you see right on your plane, you don't. You have the group on top of you, but you do not have the size change when you take it actually out of your axis and your line of sight and putting it way overhead. We know that some people say they can see through it. Some people say it looks solid. Some people say that at a new moon it totally disappears, or at an eclipse it disappears and is not in the sky. We have a lot of mysteries on the moon. The one thing that flat earthers have always been adamant about, though, is it's stupid that it's a rock in the sky. I think it's a rock in the sky. With what you guys doing this. And my reason for thinking it's a rock in the sky, I'm going to put it simply like this and answer some of the questions. But I don't think that we're actually seeing the rock in the sky. I think that we are seeing a projection of a physical object. But when we look at the moon, and you say, what does the moon look like? What does this look like to you guys? What does it look like to you? It looks like a ball. You see different,
Like a crusty rock.
like a crusty rock. When thinking about this and why you might think it's a rock or a crystal is in nature, we have vegetable, mineral, and animal. We're animals. We understand how cells divide and how we're created. We have the plant kingdom. We understand how that works. Rocks, we've just assumed, or the mineral stuff, we assume that they're there for billions of years and that they're there, but in reality, they're growing every day around us. We grow, we synthesize, we make rocks, and that is what nature makes, is rocks and solids. We take those rocks, we grind them down, we do fabulous things with them. But let's see, even if I have a lot of the tech stuff on it, where again they will make different things of it out of the presence of it. Majority of the artificially produced strontium carbonate has been consumed as an additive in the production of faceplate glass and color television picture tubes to block X-ray transmissions and improve the appearance of the glass. Other end uses are the production of ferrite magnets for this. This is strontium titanate, the same thing we're looking at with celestite, but these are all rocks. And the video you were looking at before from GLOBEBUSTERS was, is the moon celestite, was the thing out of it. I even postulated a certain rock. There was a reason I postulated this. Oh, fireworks. This is something they make from celestite that I have, again, behind me on the desk behind. But let's see. One of the things that I was looking at is when we're looking at the moon and some of the things we're looking at, here's your full moon. I want you to look at some of these things. I've spent a lifetime looking at rocks and trying to determine what rocks are by characteristics in it. One of the things when you're looking at the characteristics like this that you see, and we're going to zoom into some of these other areas and zoom them in here, come up a lot when looking at rocks. This is in demantite garnet, and it's showing it. What this is caused by is this is caused by a foreign crystal inside of another crystal that's got a different heating temperature. As this one heats up and expands in the host material, it sends a group of rays out, and something like this means that it's probably been heat treated. It's a characteristic that you want to disclose. You can tell on this that it's been heat treated. You're going to find it in a lot of the halo things in the sapphires. Oops. like again, the different things that you're looking at. If you do the full moon and look at it, you're going to see a lot of these characteristics that you see in rock. Something like this again would point to it. You see what people call the craters, which again they could be a lot of things, but something else that happens in rocks, especially in briny solutions, it depends on the rocks itself and what it is. But when they're exposed to liquids or different mediums, a lot of the times you will even have what's called a dissolution pattern. And it's cratering. It's like ringing out where things dissolve. Is that what these are? I don't know. Does impact make sense the way that they say that they are on the moon from the globe Earth model? I think not. But I wouldn't
No,
rule
not
out
at
that it's
all.
a rock. I would not, looking at the different things that we see on here. What I see here, and this, by the way, they have listed as an abysmal plain. But this spot here, if you look at it, I don't know how well this is blown up on my screen, but I can almost, Karen, if you look at it or blow it up on yours, this looks like crystal faces to me. This looks like an octahedron or crystal face. This happens to be where there's a magnetic anomaly on the stone.
Oh
We can get
yeah.
into different areas of it, but do you see, to me, this does not look,
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah.
it does not look like a plane to me. I see structure, and this is what I'm used to looking at,
Mhm.
like under microscopes and on there for ways of determining. We talk about how could it be floating in space, but we understand magnetic planes, and we understand how you can layer systems. And again, you have things like quantum locking, and you also even have, what if it had its own layer of magnetics around it? There would be no, the way that the world was described in every single ancient cosmology was in layers. It was never like cut up across. So in the layers, if it was a layer up, again, it would make perfect sense.
Yeah, I just look at these big dark spots on the moon that don't have that cup shape or anything like that. It doesn't look like a giant crater. It just looks like a weird spot.
Right, but there's also, that's another way, like crystals will grow like that. Well, they'll be white or whatever in some spot, and then there's like another sort of mineral that causes an inclusion, and then part of it will be in black splotches. It's usually like manganese or something like that. Not that that's what this is, but that happens too. When you have like the random growth of crystals and rocks and stuff, you'll find, in fact, a lot of times even opposite colors. And I share those on Facebook a lot. You'll find crystals where they'll have like base literal opposite colors even on the color wheel. You could take a color wheel and put it to the crystal, and it's showing you literal opposite colors, right? It's the polarity, you know which are all, these are just all properties that different minerals have.
Can I show something real quick, Cam?
Please, yeah, let me stop sharing.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. This is just something I was playing with
Yeah.
a long time ago with making craters with electrical discharges, and
Mm-hmm.
how when you do this, it looks a lot like the moon craters. Now I need to
That
do it
too.
again. This is, I think, 480p, so I apologize for the quality, but you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. Yeah, I'm just flattening it out right now. I've been playing with it a lot. That's just baby powder. Stupid me, playing with baby powder, breathing it in.
Oof. Yeah, no
Yeah.
kidding.
Not good. Talk.
Okay, let's fast forward this a little bit. Okay, here I go. I'm getting the Van de Graaff generator all set up. And what I'm going to do, I have it sitting on top of the Van de Graaff generator, and it's on a metal paint lid. And I'm going to take the discharge wand and send electric shocks through the powder there. And the end result was just amazing. If I had more power, I could make some cooler, probably much bigger craters. But yeah, if you pay attention, you can see it just rising off of there and going up around the discharge wand. I need to do this one again to really show how much of the powder is actually flying up off that surface up towards that wand. from the potential difference.
It'd be interesting to try different minerals too.
Yeah, to see what it. And now I have a Wimhurst generator, which does a lot more power, about double. Yeah, and I'm not sure when I actually did this one. Oh, it looks like I'm getting some pretty good static buildup there. If you guys don't know, static buildup works much better when it's dry out. Wintertime is even better when it's cold, a cold dry. Moisture in the atmosphere makes it a lot harder for the discharge to take place, because since water is one of the greatest insulators, pure water, that is.
Lightning on the moon. That'd be an interesting one to observe.
Yeah, well, I was just thinking a lot of the ancient scripts write about a time before the moon, and when the moon came in, there was great, turbulence on Earth as the moon appeared in the sky. And I was thinking maybe, there was a lot of electrical stuff going on up there at that time, and it was really, I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, just a possibility. Here you go. And it kind of, I can't get it in very
That looks
focus
very
there.
moon-ish.
Ish,
Moon
yeah.
surface-ish.
I bet if I had some more power and actually, I mean, I did it for what, a couple minutes there
Yeah.
doing that. But yeah, the craters and everything, it really made me wonder, like, was electricity part of the cause for some of these things that we see up there, these features on the moon?
Now, electrical discharge is something I would anticipate to see up there. A possible dissolution cratering is something I would expect to see up there. I think those are very real, excellent possibilities. You like that, Brianna, then?
I'm just wondering about like the really large spots on the moon. Like, was that like a humongous electrical discharge, or what?
Yeah,
but it's really funny when you look
Tycho
into
crater.
it's really funny when you start looking into like the history of the moon and how NASA claims that there were like volcanoes on the moon at one time, and
I don't believe that.
yeah,
Obviously.
it's crazy. It's crazy.
Oh yeah, or like the moon is actually a part of the Earth. That's just, after we got hit by whatever the asteroid belt created, like they say, some planet that's now the asteroid belt collided with the Earth and a big chunk flew off and made the moon.
It was
Yeah.
wasn't that's Nibiru, right?
That might be.
Or-
I'm not sure. No, Nibiru is one that's on that 6,000-year orbit or something like
Or
that.
it's supposed to
some
come back.
Crazy. Yeah, it comes back every so many
I remember
thousand years.
watching something where it was like they talk about like that's how the moon created. Some planet collided with Earth, and then a big chunk broke off, and then that's what became the moon. And there's actually a sculpture at the Vatican that depicts it. It's like a big sphere with another sphere crashing into it.
And that's where it all comes from. A lot of it comes from the Jesuits.
Yeah,
or
man.
Jesuits, as Iru would call them.
And-
I try to get him to say that every Sunday. That's one of
And
my
I
goals.
want to know who's talking about the time before the moon, because I hear that about these cultures or whatever, but I've never seen that or read it. Who talks about that?
Plato talks about, I forget what they called them. They had a certain type of name. There was even a name for these people that all lived before the moon, supposedly. I don't know. I'll see what I can find.
Interesting.
It was a while ago. But yeah, the time before the moon, I'm pretty sure Plato wrote about those people, or about the moon coming into the Earth realm and causing chaos and mass destruction when it did.
It was Rob Skiba who pointed out how NASA was down in Antarctica looking for moon rocks before the moon landing ever apparently happened, It's like, how do you know this thing is a moon rock?
I know, because you
Made
found
on
it
the moon. Well,
but
look
you
at that.
found it on Earth, right? That always cracks me up when they're like, we found this super rare mineral that's never found on Earth. It must have come from space. It's like, but you found it on Earth,
On
right? Yeah. Okay.
I know, to think that we've found everything already.
I know.
It's just laughable to me now. I used to believe that. Like, we know everything about all the substances here on this place, on this little rock that we're all living on. I don't think we have a clue.
Yeah.
And I
We're
bet
still
so
finding new
much of it
animals all the time.
all the time.
Mhm.
And not just
Just-
little bugs. I mean, whales as big as buses. Like, oh, there's a new whale species. It's like, no, it's not new. They've been here the whole time.
Shout out to Effie Patriot for the super chat.
Hey, thank you. Much love. Could the moon be plasma?
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, man.
Let's.
All right.
Are you going to
I'm
take back
going
over,
to-
Camera Joe?
I'm going to take back over and present a little bit.
All right, let me make that a solo layout so you get a nice big view here.
Entire screen.
There you
and
go. Hold on, there's a question in the chat. Why are GLOBEBUSTERS episodes deleted? We get hassled a lot with community guideline strikes and things like that. Even when we're not breaking them. So instead of getting 3 strikes and having the channel totally wiped out, like almost like Karen B's channel, they just threw up a couple strikes at her from those videos were old too, weren't they, Karen?
Yes, they were years old.
It's happened to Jaren before, years old videos, and giving you community guideline strikes where you get 3 and that's it. Your channel's gone. So that's why we pull everything down off GLOBEBUSTERS. You can find it all over on Rockfin, most of it. We've been working.
And no, we don't have all of it.
Not
Yeah, we
all
are
of it,
working.
but working on to get all of it up there.
Exactly.
And I know Odyssey, I believe, has all the GLOBEBUSTER stuff on it. If I'm not
Odyssey
mistaken.
is a good archive.
Yeah. So that's why we have to take them down on YouTube, just because of the censorship and the hassle that we get. It stinks, but you know, you work with the tools you have. All right, Camera Joe, are you ready?
Go ahead. I'm ready. Go ahead and put the moon screen on there first. I'm going to go to the hologram one in a few minutes and that, but we're going to go back to this moon picture and what I was pointing out right here, because remember about it facing in one direction up on that. I'm looking at this and saying that this could be something like this. Magnetite, natural lodestone or magnets even. If you look at that, pull it up again. Things are host to that. Now he says, is it plasma? And do you think, in other words, looking at it solid, I have reasons to believe that it's not a solid object that we're looking at. And the reasons...
Real quick, Camera Joe, can you maximize that? Just to fill out the screen a little bit better? Okay, thank you.
Okay. And I'm going to probably even, well, in a few minutes, I could switch over. But okay, going over on plasma, looking at it and the way that we would like try to triangulate the way that we view it, the angle that it, even being overhead and seeing it and trying to do it in the sky. From again, the angles different people would see. I have reasons to believe it's not a physical object in the sky. The same with the eclipses and the new moons, where it seems to disappear, and yet it does have such a feel of it. One of the things we're going to show you are like different ideas on how it could be plasma, or how, again, with this type of such a solid look to it on some days and not on others, another possibility. So switch over to the other screen that you have, Zach.
Okie dokie. 1 second. Oh, there it is. Okay.
There it is. For what you guys, you're looking at a mirage.
A mirage.
What you're seeing is a mirage. What this is, and we've done it before, is this is just a couple of parabolic dishes. And this is a new one I came to. It was actually, Karen, this was the cheapest one I could find for $7. It came out smaller, and it's actually better than the other ones that they had for like $12. I'm pleased.
Oh, good.
Pleased with the new. This is a frog. I don't know if anybody remembers like these children's toys. I want you guys to pay attention to what direction Mr. Frog is looking at. Okay, what you are looking at is a mirage. What this idea is a possibility, again, doing on different possibilities. The firmament, the way it was always described in, let me see if I can bring it up, in
A
older
vault of
times,
looking glass.
a
It's
vault of
also,
looking glass.
yeah,
Go ahead, you guys all tell me how it was described.
a vault of looking glass, hammered metal as a looking glass. I consider looking glass to be flat, though.
It can be, a looking glass can be flat, it can be the other ones, a lot of the ones they found, the older ones they've found historical, like the one I have on the magic mirror, that's got a little bit of convexity to it. You do have sometimes concave and convexities. Zach, do you want to switch over and share my other
Do
screen
you
a minute, and
think
then we're
that
going to
they
go back
mean
to the
a
mirror scope?
vaulted, like a vaulted ceiling when they say that, or a vault like a vault
Okay, well,
where
let's
you
talk about
have
this.
like
Part of the word
something you
firm.
walk into,
Let's talk
enclosed
about
with
that.
only one opening, a vault.
Let's talk about it.
Okay.
Everybody assumes that it's just a lid. Everybody automatically assumes it's a lid. Can you flip over screens for me one more time?
Where is that one now?
Should just be the other screen. When I'm doing it, you should have Celtic, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So I don't know, the way that they've described it in every ancient one is they've always layered it. This isn't me, this is like looking at, let's just go through some of these.
Yeah, I'm just not sure. I mean, vaulted. I know vaulted ceilings are like that, but vaulted, I don't know if that's another definition of vaulted, like to be enclosed with only one opening. Because that
Well, to
would
me,
be just like a
why
mirror
one,
scope, a vaulted
right,
looking glass.
right. Well, if you said a vault of looking glass, could be a vault made of looking glass. You're right. This one, even when you're doing it in there, they're doing the sky, the heavens, the God of the heavens. So they're putting in the firmament, but they're drawing a lid on it. But it was very much in every different. They also called it a shiny river in Asgard. They had to cross the Rainbow Bridge. Rum's third heaven, second heaven, first heaven. The earth opened the underworlds. Bagatia, you look at it again, you're going to have all the different layers, the earth,
Mm-hmm.
the firmament, all the different layers of it, the heavens.
That's
Your earth, your
interesting. A
heavens.
molten looking glass, mercury mirror.
Mm-hmm. Earth, soul. Here they do the three of them. They call them the chambers of heaven. They seem to think that they were chambers.
Let me just throw in here
Right here.
for as far as like the whole, is it flat or is it round part of the sky? Like in scripture, firmament, the word is rakia,
Mm-hmm.
and the first definition is hammer out or sheet, pounding of metal such as gold to flatten out for a metal sheet, to beat with a hammer to flatten out, hammered out as flat sheet, and rakia flat as hammered out flat. Like so, like
Yeah, that
it
says it
does
Or
right
could
there.
flat
push.
mean smooth. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, to me, that means when you hammer out metal flat, it's not necessarily meaning a sheet as much as when you hammer metal out flat, you make it shiny. You hammer it out, and it becomes very. Again, it's hammered out. You get a looking glass out of it.
yeah.
But if
Well, when you hammer out a helmet, it starts out as a sheet, and then you
Mhm.
hammer it down into kind of a more arched shape.
Yeah, but well, I don't know. I'm just telling you what the definition
Yeah.
says.
I
Yeah,
I
get that.
love the literal definitions and doing it. Here's the waters of Gov. People keep on doing the ferment, but it was described as again
The
a
other
vault.
thing too is like, I mean, it is we can already prove that perspective gives us the illusion of the arc and the round, the 360 visual from our perspective. So to me it's like the when this was written, sometimes it is just written in how they understand things, and had they analyzed like perspective and far off distances and how things work, and had they tested all this stuff, or did they just, you know what I'm saying? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
The firmament is also described as a tent that we dwell in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But
I
with
remember
the
that. We used that in our
Yeah.
presentation.
we sure did. Is once you have the different worlds again, Middle Earth, you go up, you go through the Rainbow Bridge to get up to Asgard, and in the heavens, the 9 worlds. Again, it's a recurring theme in all the cosmologies, and this is how it worked out when I did it. Is I put the sun and moon down here, and then put the physical up here in the firmament, and had them reflecting down below on it. But on here, we're going to switch over to the other thing.
Mm-mm.
Uh-oh.
Did she accidentally X herself out?
I think she might have. Cameron Joe. Well, that'll be a good time to talk about Flattoberfest. 2023. I love this part right here when you scroll down. I saved it just
Ta-da!
for that. And fabulous. Las Vegas, Nevada. Never been there. This is going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Never been to Vegas.
Wow.
And I believe we're actually going to be going to the LA airport as like when there was no direct flights. So we have to go fly out to LA or something like that first. So that'll be the farthest west I've ever gone.
Really?
And the first time ever seeing the Pacific Ocean.
Wow.
I see it from the plane. Yeah. So this is going to be a really awesome trip. I am super excited. But Saturday and Sunday, October 21st and 22nd, starts at noon to 10 p.m. both days. I love that, Karen. Instead of starting it at like 8 in the morning. Oh my goodness, that was horrible.
Yeah. I know.
And this is the first international conference since 2018, I believe. Wasn't that the last one? Or was 2019? Was that Dallas? 2019?
Yes.
Okay, so Dallas 2019. So this is the first one in 4 years now.
Yeah.
And we're having Mark Devlin, Amanda Vollmer, and
Dave Murphy.
All coming from, we got Canada, England. Yeah, this is going to be awesome. And of course, some of the usual suspects. Jason Lindgren will be presenting, Mark Sargent, Jaron Campanella. This is his first Flattoberfest, I believe.
Yep.
And Austin Whitsitt will be presenting as well. Benjamin Balderson, again, Dave Murphy and Amanda Vollmer. Chief Crow will be playing some music, and it will not be hosted by Rick Hummer, though.
No, I need to change that thumbnail.
He had some family stuff come up.
Yeah.
It happens. That's always more important. So
yes,
lots of loves and good vibes and prayers to Rick and his family. It'll be sad not having him there, but
yeah, he was with us last year. He had a
That
blast.
was awesome seeing him.
Yeah.
It'll be at Samstown Hotel and Gambling Hall. Now, if you're thinking, oh, I don't want to go to Vegas because of all the it's not on the strip, the main strip. The strip's not far away if you do want to go to the main strip, but it's not like you're going to be surrounded by all that. And everything is in the hotel. The convention, there's a lot of people that have rooms there, and there's a lot to do in the hotel as well. I believe there's a bowling alley. There's all kinds of stuff to do there. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait. And I want to do go-karts against Ted.
Why? You want to lose?
Go-karts there?
No, that's the thing, Karen. See,
I'm
kidding. Like 50, 30, 40, 50 pounds lighter than Ted. So I go faster. When
Yeah,
the
I'm
cars are
lighter
all the
than Ted
same,
too. I'm
but he
lighter than
beats
Ted
you.
too, but he freaking nailed me, dude. Maybe if you're lighter than Ted and you're as good of a driver as Ted, you might have a
Might
chance.
have a chance. Yeah, I want to test my skills, and I know Ted's a really good driver, so yeah, that'll be fun. But yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait. I'm gonna, if you would like to talk about it for a second, Karen, I'm gonna go see what's going on with Cammy.
Okay,
Okay,
good
I'll be right
idea.
back.
All right. So yeah, October 21st and 22nd of 2023, we're having an international flat earth event called Flattoberfest 2023. And I certainly hope to see you all there because it's going to be a blast and we're going to have lots of fun stuff. We're going to have lots of unexpected guests. You're going to have lots of people to talk to. There's going to be raffles and giveaways and all kinds of stuff. I can never ever list everything that goes on at the conference because it is literally like a festival. All kinds of people come, everybody brings all their goodies, and sometimes there's people there handing out stuff. They don't even have a table. So just come and hang out with your people. It's the best. It's the biggest and best flat earth event of the year.
Yep, hands down. And I see we have
Handstand.
Cammy Joe back in.
I had to reset the whole thing. I'm sorry, I lost
Oh.
my
That's
computer.
okay. It happens.
So we tried to reboot and bring the things back up, and I think
We
I've got
just
my
covered
tabs,
Flattoberfest while you were out.
which is really fabulous. I cannot wait to go. I know that I will, even though I'm not doing a table and we're not displaying, I know that I will not be able to not bring a mirror scope and some things to show like lunar wave and things to show for us. Just a little kit, because there's no
I
way,
know. I was
there's
looking
no
I'm
at.
way
sure you
I
can bring
can't.
something and you can have a little table,
I just
you know,
got
Yeah.
the
with some
Van de
stuff.
Graaff generator back Tuesday from Austin. He's getting ready to move.
We
Safe
could have a
travels.
little pedestal. Yeah,
And that's the first thing I thought was, oh man, I want to take it to Flattoberfest.
we want to show people and do this. But on here, I want people to open their minds. And again, we don't know when we talk about the firmament being a lid, we don't know. I know that as soon as we introduce things like glass or things that have the properties of molten looking glass into the element, you can start creating all kinds of optics. And with the optics, when you're using mirrors, especially when working with something in a parabolic shape, you're introducing a lot more. You're introducing, just like put it on the back here, you're introducing the parabolic functions of it all. You're not only, think about when people use what they use parabolic dishes for, you use them for antenna, you use them to send satellite receptions, waves, the whole bit. Think of all of the different things you use for, in doing this, Kyle. Again, it's how we send and receive. You start putting this into the element with mirrors, you all of a sudden have, again, if you look at the sky as described, you have something that would easily create holograms that not only had optical properties, but holograms that had physical properties. As soon as you start creating them via like parabolic dish, you can transfer. If you put ice into that little hologram emitter, your hologram is ice. If you follow your little lines on there, if you light up the hologram, the base lights up. If you light up the base, the hologram lights up. It transfers light, it lights up. If you put a piece of foil in the little miroscope and hold it to the sun, you can blind yourself. I mean, it is physically that bright and has that much of a realistic view to it. I thought the foil was the best, was just, it's like, oh, this is cute. We'll just hold this in the sun. And yeah, that was not very bright at all. It was too bright. But again, these are possibilities on things, how it could happen. In that case, the question was, could it be plasma? Yeah, it could be plasma. Because again, if you had the different noble gases that you have going in the atmosphere and you have something augmenting to a focal point and creating with properties, I would call that a plasma entity. Am I
The
crazy
thing
in
with
thinking that?
plasma, though, is when I think of plasma, I think of something much more fluid and liquid and changing. But the moon
You could,
seems pretty consistent in the way we see it.
Well, I would almost think that again, because it's augmenting into a focal point, your focal point would be hitting the things, but I would almost say that that energized area there of your noble gases could be classified as that. It would just be a different way of looking at it, just a way of on the cause and effect. Maybe plasma is not the right word. I'm sure we'll have people with technical, but you have a lot of things that if you start playing with nature and things that happen in nature, they can start to answer a lot of the questions or make possibilities very, very open. Where would you guys like to go? I don't know if we want to end this show on this because we're at an hour and a half right now. If we want to play with the hologram emitter, what does the crowd like? What questions, open discussion questions and answers on the moon?
You're muted.
I am?
Oh, I was. I was
Okay.
going to say, yeah, why don't you show off? Can you do some of your hologram where you light up the side without shining down into it, maybe?
See if I can do that a little bit.
Or pull up the video of you doing that. And yeah, then we'll probably be getting out of here in a little bit. I got a show at 5 a.m. Yeah. Yeah, we're
I think
doing
that's kind of one of the questions I have about the whole hologram thing is whenever I see the frog at the bottom or the ice cube, it doesn't move. It just kind of stays in one spot. And so I'm still thinking here a lot about the path of totality and just how wild and wonky that is, just looking at the history of the path of totality across the United States. And it's crazy just looking at all that. It's nothing like you'd see with the sun.
Explain what I didn't follow that. I did not follow what you meant by that.
The path of totality on the solar eclipses.
Okay, no, I understand that, but why? I didn't follow how you.
This with your hologram projector here, the frog is staying stationary. It's not moving around. There is no path of totality. So
okay, if
it's hard for me to visualize that. Yeah, how does the frog create a path of totality?
Okay, first of all, you remember the sun and moon cycles, right? Where Karen and I did the sun and moon cycles and put them put the sun and moon cycles where they were in motion for you, and you created the phases.
I want to drop a LED light bulb in there, just like a little tiny one, to watch it light up and see the hologram of the light and see what effect that has.
Hold on 1 second. Let's see if I can. Well, first of all, I'll see if I can get something brighter for you. But this is a piece of fluorite.
Oh, so you're gonna make it glow?
Well, that was glowing because that's fluorite growing. But let's see. Okay, see your fluorite side thing? I'm making your fluorite glow right now by even hitting on the...
By shining the light on the hologram, you're making the other one glow.
Correct, because it follows the beams. If I had something that was, let's see, what do I have that's photo, let's see what I've got. That does a little bit. I'm trying to get the best glowers I've got on my desk right now is what I'm trying to do. That's interesting. I have no idea how that would turn out.
Oh, wow. It looks
That
like
is
it's trying to jump out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But it's still stationary. And so if it's moving around, then I could start to understand.
But if I had see if I have something that's a ball or something that will
kind of roll around.
Mm-hmm. In other words, if you put something in there that moves, Kyle, if I hung something by a ball, again, if I put a little... That'll keep on going for a minute. I'm going to light it up down there.
Yeah, if you just tilt it around, there you go. And if you suspended it in water, if you filled it up with water and had something floating in it, it would look like it was floating in the air.
And we did that on the hologram. I can show you some different
Yeah.
hologram things. Also, it looks, you're seeing it because it's touching the bottom. You're seeing the reflection of it. As soon as you put it by a string and do it, you'll lose the reflection of it. If you had two of these tops on it instead of a solid bottom and just suspended it in the middle, the hologram actually reproduces on the top and the bottom because I have a dual parabolic dish.
Yeah. I guess I'm just having a hard time visualizing how exactly an orbit would work on that. Like
your orbits would work exactly the same way as you put in between there. The only difference is that you would see it like your moon, like your frog flipped over in direction. In other words, it's going to go, or let's do it this way. If I put it on this side of the dish, right here, it's going to show up on this side of the dish.
Mm-hmm.
So watch where it goes. It just changed position on where it was on the dish.
Okay.
Probably easier to do. So it's going to go catty corner in the dish. So you're going to get a crossover. And if I do Mr. Frog, and right now, if you look at Mr. Frog, you're looking at Mr. Frog's butt is what the camera has a view of, and the only view of it. But if I were to put this in there, it's going to flip around.
Okay, so I'm kind of viewing hourglass shape in my mind right now.
Yeah, you're at the wrong angle, Camera Joe. If you could just move the dish away from you a little bit, I think it might work a little bit better. Move it back towards your glasses. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely kind of viewing the hourglass shape in my mind right now. It kind of helps me make a lot more sense.
It's really hard to you have to be looking at it at just the right angle. There you go. That's perfect.
Looks like it's trying to jump out of there.
Yeah.
So it looks like it's trying to jump out. That's its face. But if you look at here, you're not looking at its face. You're looking at its ass. So it's going to flip the illusion. It can change the size of it depending on the mirrors. I've mixed and matched different mirrors on it. But this is just fun again because this is it's not real. It's a hologram. And yet the properties are going to transfer with this type of an image. People are saying it's not a hologram is not the right word. It's an optical illusion, but it is more than an optical illusion because of the fact that you're going to see it in 3D and it's going to carry
the properties.
Much more than an optical illusion. Again, it's going to carry temperature. It's going to carry any of the wave functions with it. It carries light. It can produce light, shine light.
It's not just an optical thing, but it's also a temperature thing. And so,
it's also a temperature thing. It's something capable of producing light strong enough to make shadows really easily. I mean, there's it's something that, again, if you here, that's not the right size. Let's see if I can. Nope, I don't have the right angle on that one. I'm trying to think. You can actually get these and set up and do different globes and do different filters and get them through Polaroid filters and to do different things on it.
All right. Well, I think that's going to end it for this show. I don't doubt that we will be talking more about the moon on this show coming up in the future. We've really just kind of scratched the surface on some of these properties. I know Cammie had a lot more with double refraction and things like that. We'll be talking about the lunar wave, fluorescence. There's so much we can get into it. But we like to keep these kind of short, hour and a half, always under 2 hours. So yeah.
I'll look more into these lunar paths and we'll see.
Maybe we can keep this going. Would you guys like to talk about the moon again next week?
Sure.
And we'll just do like a thing on the moon and try to hit as many topics on it as we can in a row. And that way, it'll be fresh in people's minds.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I am going to really quickly into chat because I'm getting things reopened again. So I apologize, chat, for losing this. I'm going to drop in a link to a video This is an excerpt, an hour-long excerpt from a GlobeBusters show, and the excerpt is titled, "Is the Moon Celestite?" And it's going to go over fluorescence. It's going to go over temperatures. It's going to go over a lot of the tech that we didn't get to tonight, but I'm dropping it in the chat because what you didn't see here, you can see there. And then we can continue on, and hopefully we can have some more questions and possibilities. And I agree, the moon is worth speculating on. It's a wonderful, wonderful mystery.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Absolutely. All right. So to wrap up the show, we'll go around one more time and see what everybody's got coming up this week. Kyle, what do you have coming up this week, sir?
Well, one of the things I've been doing a lot of lately has been debating against this AI on G Smart Hub, and it's been really fun. And so
I saw you got it to change its mind and become a little bit more polite even.
Yeah, I've been taming the beast is what
Nice.
I'm talking about. And it's been really funny to kind of watch as its behavior changes throughout the course of a conversation. At the very beginning, it starts off being really brash and all these walls up and really angry and hostile towards flat earthers. And then at the end of the conversation, oh, it's really polite. And it's just really funny how much it changes.
That is awesome. Yeah, man. Keep it up. I'm enjoying the videos coming out.
Yeah. My next video I want to do is I want to highlight this conversation I had with it about star formation. And that was a great topic right there.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
Miss Karen B., what do you got coming up this week, ma'am?
I have anti-religious scripture study on Saturday and coffee talk on Monday and Strange World on Tuesday, as usual.
Nice. I am there for all of them usually, except for Strange World. I might catch a little bit of the beginning, but you guys just party too hard for me.
I know.
I'm never
Half
up
the
that
views
late.
are literally the next day.
It's just too late for me. Yeah. Oh, all right. Cammie, what do you got coming up this week?
Oh, I have to go to court and do paperwork tomorrow. Just finishing up on some stuff. I've been doing paperwork. I hate it with a passion, and just cleaning up on stuff that needs to be done that's no fun. So I'm hoping to finish up on that so I can really, really focus on GlobeBusters and Flattoberfest in Vegas and the fun stuff, and pull out of the like little depressing thing that happens, while looking at paperwork. So that we have GlobeBusters on Sunday, and hopefully next week will be a whole new week.
Oh yeah, it will be.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, we have Iron Rail Media now 3 days a week in the morning, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, starting at 5 a.m. Eastern.
Guys
And
added another day?
Yep, we got rid of Tuesday, and now we're Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Wow.
Yeah. And we should be going live on Free World FM starting September, whatever one of those days comes after September 11th. That's when it's going to start. Billy Ray's from New York, so he wanted
That's
to
a
have
Monday.
so it might be
probably
that
Wednesday.
Monday. Yeah,
so
or Wednesday.
Maybe Monday or Wednesday.
Yeah, I'm not sure what he's doing on Monday, but it might be like he might have something going on all day. But yeah, then that Wednesday we'll start on Free World FM.
Right on.
Yeah. And then of course, GlobeBusters this Sunday. Hope to see you all there. What do you got, Cameron Joe?
We just have somebody I was just talking about yesterday, who is now, I believe, Curious Life of an Elite Peasant. Oh, I miss you, Kurt. So welcome somebody I haven't seen in a while in the chat or on the things, otherwise known as Curious Life of a Flat Earther, one of our favorite flat earthers ever, somebody that I love the way his mind works. So chat, thank you guys for coming tonight.
Absolutely. And just an update on the map. I know it's jumping around a little bit. I have the settings turned up really high and it's hard to keep up. But this is what the Globers see when they start. They get this neat little gun that
Run and
allows
hide.
them, yeah, run and hide. But they can turn into stuff in the map to try to hide from you. So, and then they get to pick whatever continent: South America, North America, Asia, Europe, Africa, or Australia. I guess we'll just go jump into Africa, and you have Wits It Gets It on the mountain up
Where in the
there.
world is Carmen San Diego?
But yeah, it's going to be a tagged style game. The Flat Earthers get lots of good guns and have infinite health and are pretty much invincible, while the Globe Earthers do not. And they get this one gun that really it's just to make you feel good. This is the gun that you can, like, I can turn into that tree and then go running around and swimming. Yeah. And then the storm makes it smaller. I know, because it's such a big map, there's a storm that's going to make everybody go to the center of the map, Mount Meru. And it gets smaller and smaller. So it's going to have, we're thinking maybe up to 50 players. Start off with one flat earther. There's Kyle Adams. And every time he eliminates a Glober, converts them into a flat earther, they'll become a flat earther. They get to go up to the island up there. Here, I'll show you what happens when that happens. I'll just respawn, and I will become a flat earther now. And we're going to decorate all this up here. And then you could actually come up here and look down on the flat earth map if you want. But you come up here, and then you have your pick of a bunch of guns to go convert more flat earthers. So you get to pick from any of these guns and stuff like that, and all the toys to play with, because flat earthers have all the ammo. Globers don't. And then you come up here and you go jump into a place and you go hunt down the remaining Globers to convert them into flat earthers. We have Durst's yacht out in his yacht club. Got Miss Karen B up on the Appalachian Mountains. Conspiracy Music Guru. Since his name was so big, I had to put him on the Rockies. And that was the first place I ever met him, was there in Denver. But yeah, it's coming along. Things are working. A little bit more decorating to do, but it should be ready to be played here. I'm thinking maybe a week.
Awesome.
Yeah. So keep your eye out for that if you're one of the gamers in the community, and so we can share it around and get some people playing it, and they could show their friends, hey, this is what the flat Earth maps looks like. And the storm is not going to let them even go to Antarctica, just like in real life. You can't go out there. So
it's funny.
Yeah. It'll hopefully just help people, give them some more, something else to show people what we're talking about. Not a disc floating in space. We're at the basement. And yeah, this is how it looks. Flat Earth Farms. This is neat. I got to show you one thing.
How cute.
Nemo is like great at turning things into other things in this game. This is bamboo. But what does it look like to you?
Oh, it definitely looks like weed.
He took the bamboo and he just put the very tippy top of the plant. And then he stuck the rest down in the ground there so you can't see it.
That's funny.
Yeah, he is really good at this stuff. But yeah, that'll be the Flat Earth map coming out soon. There's Mark Sargent on the old. Yeah.
On the lighthouse. Cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Right on.
We have, oops, this is like fabulous. We do have in the chats talk about speculation on the Moonlight, and we have a lot of speculation on the Moonlight, by the way. That video I posted would have some of it in it, and like I wrote into you, like one of the possibilities is natural fluorescence reacting to the sun, not being illuminated by the sun, but an actual reaction, not a direct illumination, something very, very different. It would mean the moon would be creating its own light.
Yeah.
But that's still, I mean, I don't know if that's as cool as the game, though. Zach, I was watching the game while going through the chat.
Have any of you done like the Moonlight experiment, like
Yes.
testing the temperature of it? Like I've
Yes,
done
we did.
that, but like I had really inconclusive results.
We had positive results on it. We definitely got a colder moon. We did it on several different times under different conditions. And one of the reasons I wrote natural fluorescent light reacting to the sun is fluorescent lighting is cold lighting. It produces a cold light, and the colder it is, the brighter the light is. So if you're getting a hologram or something of something that was like brightest when coldest, you would expect that property to carry through with it.
Yep.
That was something Action Lab did, was he produced the cold light, and that was pretty interesting. But yeah, there's a lot of different cold lights out there.
Well, we can get into that maybe next week.
Right, we can do lighting.
Yeah,
would
if
be a
any
good
of you have
idea.
any questions on the moon, throw them into the comment section down below, and
There you go.
we can maybe address them for you next week.
Yes.
That'll help out a lot.
Sounds fun.
All right, everybody. Well, thank you all for joining us. This was GLOBEBUSTERS Tech, Properties of the Moon. Remember, be good to each other. Be kind to each other. Oh, no, I got that wrong. Be good to each other. Don't lie to each other. Open your mind, because there's truth inside. Peace out, everybody.
Peace out.
Peace.
Peace.